Welcome and thanks for joining this session on building a successful marketing and sales strategy. In this opening slide, we set the stage for practical ideas that connect product, customer, and revenue. And over the next slides, we'll explore how to define markets, craft messages, manage channels, and turn prospects into repeat buyers with clear, actionable steps. This slide highlights the difference between marketing and sales in a simple way. Marketing studies and satisfies buyer needs by shaping the product and its delivery, while sales focuses on converting interest into cash by addressing seller needs. Thinking of them as complementary functions helps teams coordinate messaging, timing, and customer experience to close more deals. This slide breaks marketing into two tasks: how you present and how you attract customers. So start by asking how you'll present the product, what the product really is, and who your potential customers are. And remember, customers are drawn to solutions that remove pain, are uniquely fit for a task, offer clear value, or give access previously unavailable. When you understand the market, think in layers. The total market shows how big the opportunity is. The targeted segment is the slice you can realistically reach. The serviceable area defines where you can deliver well, and the core focus area is the initial geographic or demographic bite you'll concentrate on to get traction and prove the model. Competition is real for almost every product, so this slide urges constant awareness. Track competitors regularly, learn their strengths and weaknesses, look for indirect alternatives if no direct rival exists, and be ready to make course corrections so your strategy adapts as the competitive landscape evolves. Value your customers by treating them as your most important asset, whether active or inactive, and prioritize acquisition and retention because keeping and expanding your customer base directly drives your top line. Respect the effort it took to win them and never underestimate the cost of losing a customer. Defining your business purpose and objective is harder than it sounds, and history shows companies fail when they don't. Think broadly about the value you deliver: personal comfort instead of just heating and cooling, or transportation instead of railroads. So, your purpose guides strategic decisions and product choices. When presenting products or services, perception matters. Study how users will perceive your offering, and remember, users often buy a concept or solution rather than a set of features. You can create a similar perception to competitors, or deliberately be different if perception has been a barrier to adoption. Identifying potential customers means separating end users from other distribution contacts and answering where they live, how they'll notice your product, how they will buy it, and how the transaction will take place. Clarity here shapes distribution strategy and the communications you deploy to reach real buyers. The marketing plan maps the route between you and your prospective customers, so make it specific. Articulate who will actually use your product, identify competitors, and how to neutralize threats, and detail pricing, distribution, and positioning while structuring the plan around company objective, market analysis, target audience, competitive analysis, and an action plan. The route to customer slide lays out practical stages from company objective through market analysis, target audience, and competitive analysis to an action plan, and emphasizes being specific so your team has a concrete game plan while also demonstrating credibility to potential partners or investors. At the concept stage, you must clearly understand what your product will and won't do, and your early market work should organize around the core headings: company objective, market analysis, target audience, competitive analysis, and action plan, so you can validate assumptions before investing in large-scale rollouts. Properly applied marketing should define demand, cost, competitors, terms, and execution options, as well as packaging, product planning, presentation, advertising, and communications. So use marketing insights to inform production, pricing, and positioning, and to create a consistent experience from first contact through purchase. Expected demand starts with market research that predicts production needs, lead times, and service levels. And you should never attempt market introduction without prototype completion, preliminary performance results, demonstrations, and samples to live with prospects, along with a realistic plan to meet initial demand. Pricing requires broad thinking. Consider multiple costs. Avoid labeling anything as purely fixed, and set prices based on customer value rather than cost alone. The slide includes an old industry quote to remind us to focus on manufacturing and operations to reach a price the market will pay. Monitoring competition requires diligence in identifying threats from firms, products, or alternative solutions, staying involved in your industry through trade publications and advertising, and scheduling periodic reviews so you can make appropriate changes based on competitor actions. Terms and conditions should foster relationships and be benchmarked against market standards while using incentives to encourage future business. And your warranty language should reflect product quality and confidence without implying lower built-in quality by offering excessive durations. Execution options ask how transactions will actually be made, whether through direct sales, intermediaries, or to the end consumer, and also remind you to factor in other considerations like currency, applicable sales taxes, shipping duties, and cartage when planning channels and contracts. Packaging can be a meaningful point of differentiation, so don't underestimate the messages it sends. Balance packaging with the product's value, avoid deceptive over-packaging on low-value items, and consider different packaging styles, such as samples and fulfillment packaging for different use cases. Product planning must encompass both tangible hardware and the intangible services that accompany it, following a new product development process from idea generation and concept screening through business analysis, prototype development, test marketing, and commercialization to ensure a complete market-ready offering. When presenting your product or service, focus on the positive result you deliver rather than only listing features, and decide whether to present the full range of solutions or a focused subset while choosing appropriate channels like advertising, promotional material, and trade press to reach your audience. Advertising and promotion can be costly, and measuring ROI is often difficult, so pick the channels where your clients will see you. Trade journals, newspapers, television, or direct channels like trade shows and seminars. Set lead generation goals, ask prospects where they heard about you, and track each activity's performance. Intellectual property should be handled pragmatically. Don't force IP solely to pursue patents. Understand that IP doesn't guarantee financial success. Document and protect trade secrets. Copyright your materials where appropriate, and mark confidential items to preserve competitive advantage. Communication must be planned. Decide how you'll share financial updates, product announcements, advertising, and seminar leadership, and establish a regular cadence so your messages are deliberate and to the point, avoiding vague statements that could confuse investors, partners, or customers. Preparing to sell means deciding where you'll go when selling begins, confirming product availability, scripting the sales process, anticipating customer questions, and ensuring the transaction process is tested and working so you don't lose momentum when orders start coming in. Channel selection should be informed by what competitors do, and more importantly, by input from potential customers about how they prefer to do business. Be open to being first, consider combinations of channels across geographies and cultures, and pick the mix that makes you distinct and effective. Preparing the channel requires clearly communicated goals, rigorous training for all channel players, continual testing of channel managers' knowledge, and frequent communication with partners, so everyone understands expectations and can execute consistently. For the first sale, make sure inventory or services are readily available and minimize lead times. Clearly convey terms and conditions. Ensure the customer knows what will be delivered and when, and never leave that initial contact without leveraging the connection to build a lasting relationship. Executing the first sale requires attention to shipping materials and transport, packing lists and invoices, and a plan for post-sale follow-up to assess satisfaction. Remember to contact both the buyer and the end user if they differ, so you capture feedback and encourage repeat business. The sales script is a plan, not a static document. Confirm previous contacts, resolve necessary items, assess customer readiness and timing. Don't ask for an order if the customer isn't prepared. And when the timing is right, ask for the order and then clarify conditions needed to secure future business. Many deals stall on practical questions about warranty length, payment terms, certifications, available discounts, how to revise orders, shipping methods, and references. So prepare concise, committed responses and practice them until they're second nature to avoid losing momentum during negotiations. With an order on the buyer's desk, decide next steps clearly. Help the buyer email or mail the order to your order desk, explain credit checks if required, gratefully accept hard copies, and assure execution of necessary actions, and be transparent about any difficulties in meeting the order requirements. Use your customer contacts to your advantage by asking for referrals and permission to follow up, and maintain contact with established customers even when no order is imminent. Constant engagement helps you learn how your product is performing and encourages customers to share experiences that can drive improvements and new sales. Follow-up is about attitude and discipline. Treat sales as a win-win solution. Focus on building and keeping strong customer relationships. Monitor industry changes and customer buying behavior closely, and understand each participant in your sales channel, because that understanding is critical to a successful plan. Create a tactical marketing plan, but be prepared to change it based on feedback. Ask customers where they heard about you and why they bought. Use that insight to adjust your approach and schedule discussions with advisors to pull these points together, since tactical marketing will likely be one of the biggest moving parts of your overall business strategy.